Welcome back, everybody, to the horror headlines right here on the Welcome to Primetime YouTube channel. I'm your host, Hunter Chambliss, and this horror headlines is for the week of September 15th to September 20th. I'm super excited to get into these news. So, let's start with our very first topic of the evening, shall we? Our first news topic comes from BloodyDisgusting.com. Matthew Lillard teases Scream 7 return. It's not going to ruin the franchise. No one is more excited about Stu Macher coming back in Scream 7 than Matthew Lillard. The actor teased his long-awaited return at Silver Scream Con over the weekend. I got a call from Kevin Williamson in the middle of the day. I'm like, I have to take this phone call that's coming in. And I took the phone call, and we kind of just small talked. He was like, "Are you interested in coming back?" And I literally thought to myself, I've been waiting for this call for like 20 years. He chuckles. I was so excited. I know exactly where I was. I know exactly that time of day. I know what I was wearing. I was like, oh my God. And I was on a walk. It's so weird. It's these moments that are burned into your memory. I'm thrilled to be back. The movie's fantastic, and I'm really excited for people to see it. He continues, "It's not going to ruin the franchise. That's the good news." Lillard explains, "They were going to try and keep it a secret until the movie came out." I'm like, okay, we'll try it. His Scream co-star Ski Ulrich added, "I knew how much he wanted to do it, and when he got it, I remember just being elated for him because it's something he's been wanting for a very long time." Due out on September 27th, 2026, Scream 7 is directed by Kevin Williamson from a script by Guy Busick. In addition to Lillard, other returning casts include Nev Campbell, Courtney Cox, Mason Gooding, Jasmine Savoy Brown, David Arquette, Scott Foley. The plot details are being under wraps. The latest installment in the slasher saga is expected to focus on final girl Sydney Prescott and her family approximately 2 years after the events of Scream 6. So let's get into my thoughts on this. I am glad to hear these words by Matthew Lillard because I was somebody who was kind of worried going into Scream 7, not because I don't like the franchise. I love the Scream franchise. It is my favorite horror franchise. I mean, you can tell. Look how cute he is. But I was more worried because of the situations that were happening behind the scenes, not only with Melissa Barrera being fired by Spyglass, but Jenna Ortega leaving, then Christopher Landon quitting, and then bringing in Kevin Williamson, which I think is a very good idea. Kevin Williamson is somebody who knows these characters, who created these characters, and who really love and respect these characters like us, the fans, do. What I was more worried about is hearing, oh, David Arquette's returning. Scott Foley is returning from Scream 3. And I was kind of worried when Matthew Lillard got announced to come back as Stu Macher because Scream is a franchise to me that always kept itself realistic. And that's what made it so scary. It was just a person in a mask. The last thing I want is for something so grounded and something so tied to real life is now going to go supernatural. I don't want them to bring back, you know, Scott Foley's Roman Bridger because we saw him get shot in the head in Scream 3. I don't want to see Matthew Lillard return as Stu Macher, not because I don't like Matthew Lillard. I love Matthew Lillard and I love that character, but he was stabbed multiple times and had a TV thrown on his face. Not saying you can't survive or can't survive it, but this gives me hope because he's seen the script, he's read the script, he knows what's in it, and I don't think Matthew Lillard is somebody who would just lie to the audience. He seems like a really down to earth guy who would really not say the movie sucks, but would really not use the phrase "it won't ruin the franchise." The fact that he said that gets me super excited again because to me what the franchise is super realistic, super gritty, super down to earth, but also has that good mix of comedy because of the realistic characters and how they're written. So that gets me super excited. Still anxious to see what they do with Scott Foley as Roman Bridger and all these characters, David Arquette as Dewey, because I don't want those moments to be retconned because they're big moments. But the idea of I'm not sure what they're going to do gets me excited because it's a Scream film, because I like the mystery of it, and because if Matthew Lillard is excited to be back, I know he's going to bring that energy. He's such a good actor that he's going to bring so much of this role. So that gives me a little bit more hope. I am optimistic still. I've never been on the hate train for Scream 7. I'm always been optimistic, but there's also this little shred of doubt because I don't know why they're bringing back so many legacy characters. But I'm super excited for February to come next year and for me to finally see a new Scream movie in theaters. I cannot wait. So, what do you guys think of Matthew Lillard's comments down below? Please let me know, and let's move on to our next topic. All right. Speaking of Christopher Landon, we have another story from bloodydisgusting.com, and I'm bringing it up right now. You guys see right there. Blink of an eye. Christopher Landon directing thriller from Drop Writers. Chris Roach and Julian Jacobs, the writers of this year's big screen thriller Drop, are reteaming with the film's director Christopher Landon for a new thriller called Blink of an Eye, with Deadline reporting that Netflix has acquired the duo's spec script. Blink of an Eye is based on a story by Christopher Landon, with Landon attached to direct. Plot details at this time are under wraps. Stay tuned for more. All right, so we have a new movie by Christopher Landon coming out from the writers of Drop. I absolutely love Drop that came out this year. I thought it was a really fun thriller that had a lot of good twists, and the writing I think was really masterfully done. So there's not a lot of details on Blink of an Eye, but we do know it's a thriller coming to Netflix. So super excited to see this movie. Christopher Landon is becoming one of my favorite horror directors to watch because he brings so much heart and so much comedic timing to his movies, but they're not overly jokey. You have really good human moments, including Happy Death Day with Tree. You really get to understand her character and her character development. I love Christopher Landon as director. I think the screenwriting for Drop is incredible. So I'm super excited for this movie to come out, and I'm super excited to see how it does because Christopher Landon so far hasn't missed for me. All right, guys, what do you think of Blink of an Eye? We will have more information coming up, so let me know in the comments down below. Let's move on to our third topic. All right, guys, our next topic, again from BloodyDisgusting.com, is one I'm super excited for. Kenan Thompson to produce a Sleepaway Camp remake from original director Robert Hiltzik. Can Sleepaway Camp work for modern audiences? We're about to find out. AFA, the production company of Saturday Night Live's Stuart Kenan Thompson, and producer Johnny Ryan Jr., has acquired the remake rights to the 1983 slasher. Robert Hiltzik, who wrote and directed the original cult classic, is back at the helm to direct from his own screenplay. Development on the script is currently underway. Plot details have not been revealed, but Ryan Jr. promises we're staying true to the OG story, while Robert adding in some insane new twists. As Deadline notes, while for decades Hiltzik and his wife have been approached for rights to the franchise, they've held out in hopes of a scenario where they can be involved in revitalizing the franchise. To Thompson and Ryan Jr., whose AFA places an emphasis on keeping creative control and ownership with the artist, keeps the original architects of the franchise at the forefront of its evolution is a giving. I am both thrilled and humbled to be working with AFA on the reimagined Sleepaway Camp, Hezek told Deadline. Though I have been approached by several companies regarding the remake of Sleepaway Camp, only AFA has shared my vision and is excited to have me at the helm of the film, therefore preserving the integrity of the original film for the fans. as well as introducing Sleepaway Camp to a whole new generation. Be prepared for a new member of the Sleepaway Camp family. We are excited to work with the original genius Robert and bring to life a camp classic," said Thompson. "Keenan and I were fans first and couldn't be more on brand for us," added Ryan Jr. "I've been obsessed with the Sleepaway Camp franchise since I was a kid. We wanted this title for 20 years and we're over the moon Robert came back to write it." So, my thoughts on this, I absolutely love the original Sleepaway Camp. It is so campy, it is so fun, it is a little bit problematic, but I absolutely love this film. I love the acting in it. The acting is over the top, but it's so much fun. It's such a legendary B-level horror movie, on up there with Frankenhooker, up there with Chopping Mall is up there for me. I absolutely love this brand of horror. I think it's super silly, it's super nostalgic, it's super original content, and I'm super excited to see where Keenan Thompson and his production brand can bring to this franchise, to this reboot. I am curious if you can make this movie for today's audiences, not saying people are too soft or blah blah blah, but because of the ending of Sleepaway Camp is still problematic today, and I'm curious if they're going to change that up or if they're going to go full force and redo the iconic last shot of Sleepaway Camp. Either way, I'm excited to see. Either way, I will be there to see it. Sleepaway Camp is one of my favorite B-level horror movies, and to have somebody like a Kenan Thompson who knows comedy very well, but who also seems to love horror, is super interesting to see him work with the original creator of the original Sleepaway Camp, Robert Herzick. All of this is just great news to me, and I love what AFA stands for, which is keeping the integrity and the creativeness with the original artist. And I appreciate that they are bringing Robert back to helm this new reboot. So, guys, what do you think about the reboot of Sleepaway Camp? Can it be made today? I think it can, but I think it will find its audience. So, guys, let me know in the comments down below. Let's move on to our next news topic. Paul Walter Hauser has joined Zach Cregger's Resident Evil movie. Actor Paul Walter Hauser, the Naked Gun Cruella, is set to join weapons director Zach Cregger's upcoming Resident Evil movie. Hauser joins previously announced lead Austin Abrams, who returns with his weapons director. Zach Cregger's Resident Evil hits theaters on September 18th, 2026. Plot details are under wraps, but Constant Films and PlayStation Productions are bringing Resident Evil back to the big screen after 7 live-action movies and a short-lived Netflix series, with Cregger directing from a script co-written with Shay Hatton, Army of the Dead, and Day Shift. Cregger's Resident Evil is said to take the title back to its horror roots and be more faithful to the initial game, but the filmmaker doesn't intend on being a slave to the franchise's lore. I'm a gigantic Resident Evil game fan. I've played them all. I don't know how many times. I've just looped RE4 over and over again. I just love it. I'm definitely not trying to be completely obedient to the lore of the games, Cregger said recently. I'm trying to tell a story that feels authentic to the experience you get when you play the games. The filmmaker also warned to expect a very different type of movie from Barbarian and Weapons. This movie follows a person from A to B. It's like a real lifetime journey where you just go deeper and deeper into the depths of hell, Cregger continues. And it's really a love letter to the games because I love the games. This is a story I wanted to write whether I got the IP or not. I just happened to be able to have these Resident Evil people be down. So I want to play in that sandbox. I'm doing it because I think the movie is going to be freaking awesome. So we have not only Zach Cregger's thoughts on the Resident Evil franchise, but a great actor like Paul Walter Hauser joining the cast. I am super happy for Zach Cregger's. I loved Barbarian. I absolutely loved Weapons. And now he's got this. Cregger's is working his way up to be one of the great modern horror directors, up there with a Jordan Peele, for me at least, because he's 2 for 2. His Resident Evil movie sounds amazing, taking it back to its horror roots, which I always thought the Resident Evil franchise should have done. It should not have been an action franchise. It needed to be a really contained, self-contained horror game, because that's when Resident Evil is at its best, when it's set in one location, when it's following one character, when it's about survival and not about all these great action pieces. So to hear what Zach Gregory wants to do, he's not going to stay completely lore accurate. I love that he says that, because now fans of the franchise and fans of the games aren't going to have a perception of this is going to be just like the games. He's doing his own thing with it, but he's going to keep that horror survival experience that people love when they play the Resident Evil games. So, and Paul Walter Hauser, I mean, what more can I say? This man is such a great actor. Whether you're talking about his comedy roots or you're talking about his dramatic work, whatever he does, he puts his whole energy, his whole soul into a performance. You look at something like a Richard Jewell, where he got praised for that performance, and it was a great performance. I am super excited to see what Paul Walter Hauser can do with whatever role he's going to play in the Resident Evil movie. I'm curious what role he will play. I don't know the game franchise that well, but I'm excited to see what role Zach Cregers has for Paul Walter Hauser. This is a great pickup. The cast is looking great. I'm super excited for this movie. So, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below about not only Paul Walter Hauser joining the Resident Evil franchise, but Zach Cregger, his quotes on keeping the atmosphere and the lore of Resident Evil intact, but going his own direction with it. Let me know in the comments below. Let's move on to our next topic. The Anaconda trailer, Paul Rudd and Jack Black remakes of the 1997 monster movie with bizarre meta comedy. Paul Rudd and Jack Black lead the cast of Anaconda, a brand new reboot of the franchise starring 1997 monster movie that's taken a wholly unexpected meta approach in this year's Anaconda, slithering into theaters on Christmas Day. Rudd and Black play best friends who attempt to remake Anaconda and end up in their own real-life horror movie. Chatting with People, Jack Black describes the film as an exciting mix of comedy and horror. He adds, "Buckle up for the thrill ride of the season. Anaconda is coming." It's a lot funnier than the original, he told EW, but it does have a lot of the original vibes in terms of the scary parts. It's a horror film for real, but it's also got some clowning for sure. Anaconda swims into theaters on December 25th, 2025. In Anaconda's big screen return, best friends Doug and Grift have always dreamed of remaking their all-time favorite movie, the cinematic classic Anaconda. But things get real when an actual giant anaconda appears, turning their comedically chaotic movie set into a deadly situation. The movie they're dying to make, it just might get them killed. Tom Gornigan is scripting and directing. The original film was directed by Louis Lucia and also featured an ensemble cast including Jennifer Lopez, Ice Cube, John Voight, Eric Stoltz, Owen Wilson, and Danny Trejo. So, my thoughts on the Anaconda trailer. It looks really fun. I'm not really a big fan of the original. I watched it once. Didn't really hook me, not saying anything bad about it. But this is a very interesting idea. They're not rebooting the movie with Jack Black and Paul Rudd playing the characters from the original. They're playing people who are fans of the original movie looking to remake that movie. It's a really cool meta idea, and the director of The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is doing this one. That makes sense. That movie was super meta. I love that movie. If you guys haven't seen it, it's Nick Cage pretty much playing Nick Cage. It's got Pedro Pascal in it as well. Super, super funny movie. I'm very intrigued by this. I like the idea of being super meta and playing into the comedy of that. I think horror comedies can be hit or miss when they focus too much on the comedy and not enough on the horror. I do like that Jack Black said it has the original vibes, the horror vibes of the original, and that's mostly going to come down from the giant anaconda, the chase scenes, stuff like that. So I'm very excited to see what they can do. I know a lot of people aren't, and that's fine. I'm kind of on the fence, but I'm more leaning towards excited than I am dismissal. But the trailer looks fun. The premise sounds fun. It has a great director. So we'll see what happens when Anaconda comes into theaters on Christmas Day this year. Let me know what you guys think of the trailers down below. Did you like it? Or are you kind of skeptical about this take of Anaconda? Let me know down in the comments below. Let's move on to our last topic. All right, guys, our last topic of the night is a brand new movie coming from Fantastic Fest. Has their first teaser trailer out, and let's get into it. Theater is Dead. The teaser trailer, Theater demands sacrifice in Fantastic Fest horror comedy. Theater is Dead will have its world premiere at Fantastic Fest next Tuesday, September 23rd, and we have an exclusive teaser trailer for you below. The darkly comedic horror thriller is a subversion exploration of ambition, power, and the exploitation of artists and anyone chasing a dream. Blending a sharp humor with supernatural forces, it captures the chaos of theater and the evil that can thrive beneath the spotlight. Seduced by the world of theater, bright-eyed engineer student Willow unexpectedly lands the lead in a mysterious production from a renowned director. But as rehearsals intensifies and cast members begin to act strangely, Willow discovers the production is more ritual than play, and opening night may demand a real sacrifice. So, guys, I just saw the trailer for this. It was a very small 30-second teaser, but I'm very intrigued not only by what we saw in the trailer, but by the actual description of the film, taking the hard job of being a play actor because you have to put everything on the line in a live setting. There's no editing, there's no taking out your mistakes. You go on and you feel that pressure that every artist and every actor has to perform their best, and you take that and you give it a horror cult like treatment. That gets me excited. I love the idea of this cult acting like it's part of a theater group and what that can do to your psyche. So to hear the description of this gets me very excited. The trailer wasn't anything special. We saw clips of our main lead when we saw kind of some weird stuff going on in the background. But I cannot wait for this movie to come out, and I cannot wait to hear the reviews coming out of Fantastic Fest next Tuesday. All right, guys, so that has been your horror headlines for the week of September 15th to September 20th. We had some big news topics in there. So if you did enjoy this, please hit that like button, subscribe to Welcome to Prime Time, and join us next week for some more horror headlines. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys soon. Stay scared.